you should be making six figures. Halfway okay. Not full steam ahead, hard charging, just halfway okay. You should be doing six figures and having a lot of very successful clients. If you want to do more than that, frankly, the year I was putting the pedal to the metal, I was earning well over $300,000.
Hey, Julie, it's so great to have you on the podcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks for asking. I love to share this information because so many people are just not even aware of what the possibilities are. So it's great to be able to be here.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you're here because one of the things I've always loved about learning from you is you have this amazing, tough love, no nonsense approach that inspires people to just make it happen.
Right. Well, everybody needs a little guidance and directions and sometimes a little kick in the butt, but it's the kind of thing where no matter what your personality type is or your learning style or any of that, you can find a place in hypnosis. And of course, we'll brag a little bit on our system, the one you and I participate in. Probably 90% of that training over the years has been personal development training. So, you always jive off your strengths and improve your areas of improvement. Is what we do. So you get good at being that sort of tough love, and hopefully, you get the alternate skill or the alternate behavioral flexibility, which is to be more slow paced, more compassionate, more even handed, more gentle.
Yes,
because different things work for different people.
We're always stretching our flexibility, which makes it interesting.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So something, Julie, that I'm really curious about is I know when you started your hypnosis businesses, you were already a very successful marriage and family therapist. You had appeared on Dr. Phil multiple times. What made you decide to pursue this in the first place?
Well, actually, several things. So first of all, being a therapist, I was shocked to discover early on in my schooling process that therapy does not actually teach you, learning how to be a therapist, not actually help you or teach you how to help people or change people or improve people's lives specifically. It teaches you to analyze, focus on the problems, and sort of regurgitate all the painful things going on. And that does not help. It was actually pretty shocking to be in the middle of a master's program and be told by your professors that this doesn't really work. So I kind of knew right there this was not going to be my path, in the traditional sense. But I went ahead and got the licensure and the master's degree and all that. And then along the way, as I was trying out, just sort of throwing it on the wall, see if it'll stick kind of things to learn and do with folks, I quickly discovered that the whole idea of positive thinking versus negative, focusing on the solutions instead of the problems, all these sorts of things that we do sort of within our context were very important and powerful, and they worked. And then I literally just happened to stumble upon somebody training people to become a hypnotist for smoking cessation, which I thought was a great idea. And frankly, it also did comment about how much money you would make. So that was kind of interesting since therapists don't make any money. just you don't make any money as a therapist, really. And so I tried it, went and got the training, and the rest is sort of history. I learned how to help people stop smoking in a mediocre kind of a system, and then through that discovered Scott and his system, which was like Disneyland.
Yeah, awesome. And so I would like to hear about what were the big learnings for you. You had already had a business background. You had your therapy practice. When you started learning the Master Hypnotist Society system and being mentored into this, what were the big things you needed to develop flexibility and or learn to make this work in terms of, developing the businesses you have?
Well, like all of us, you have to learn how to step out of yourself and develop that behavioral flexibility we talked about a minute ago. That's really key. The real issue for helping people is you have to take yourself out of it. Excuse me. No matter what you're doing, it can't be about how unique you are or how smart you are or how clever you are, how much you know. This has to, you have everything in your head and everything in your heart, and you bring that forward to the client so that they can benefit. You have to figure out what they need. And as you learn how to focus on the client more, become more intuitive, literally step into their energy, as you know we do, and sample that and kind of get a feel for what they need, and then step back into yourself and figure out what you've got that'll help. The whole key to doing that is you can't have you in the mix. You cannot be focused on whether you're looking good, whether you're sounding smart, whether your clothes match, or anything else. You've got to be 100% about them, and that is a large step in anyone's maturation to be able to do that. And I don't claim to be able to do that brilliantly, but I do well enough to get by. So, but that is really the skill. That's the thing you got to get under your belt, and that takes practice and time. And that's why being in a program like this, where you can get mentored so exquisitely and so completely and so thoroughly, is the difference between being mediocre and being exemplary. I say to my students and anybody else who listen all the time, if I'm good at this, the only reason I'm good at it is because of how many trainings I've been to. I did not come in necessarily with natural, change. I had intention, I had the willingness to do it, but in the end, it's a skills-based thing, and you've got to have the skills in order to have the chops to do it well. So that was certainly a big learning, and continues to be, by the way.
Yeah. And one of the things that we say in the Master Hypnotist Society approach to this is we actually get paid in results, meaning that we're working for results. And as a side benefit, they pay us. But if we're not getting the results, then that's not going to happen. And so you got to be more than mediocre than this, considering you've gotten a ton of results. You've had clinics, you've made millions of dollars in this industry. So talk a little bit about, what did it take for you to make that happen?
I think it's the same for everybody, Robbie. It's getting the ego out of the way. I like you am we kind of stupidly went into all this higher education. I'm not that smart. I spent years in school, never ended up using it. Turned out to be kind of irrelevant, but I didn't know that at the time. So, as we learn in this system, everybody's trying to prove something about themselves. And for Robbie and I have a lot of similarities, for those of you who are listening and watching, in that we love to be competent. We're very smart girls, and we love to be competent. But see, and it is fine to be smart. It's fine to let people know you're smart, but the ego has to be out of the way. At some point, you have to understand that we're all ordinary. We're all just ordinary. It's just that once in a while, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And just because you were given or blessed some gift like intelligence or good looks or, the ability to play the piano or whatever it is, doesn't make you special. It just doesn't make you special. It just makes you different in that way, and everybody's different in their own way. So getting again the ego out of it is huge and important, and that's what lets you get the results for people, because the more you have yourself in the way, the less you're going to have to give and be aware of the person sitting in front of you.
Great. Yeah. So do you have any juicy stories about times when you had this learning happen, when you were in the throes of it all?
Oh, there's so many, Robbie. My mind boggles. They're just over, I've been doing this for 16 years now with Scott and the group, and I have learned massive amounts, of course, from Scott more than anything, but also from other people in the group like yourself. It's great. In fact, it's really kind of cool because you and I do have a lot of similarities. So it's cool to be able to sit back, as long as you don't have your ego in it. You can sit back and kind of look at somebody who is similar to you and watch, because they're going to have the same kind of struggles and issues to deal with as you do. So watch how that all happens, and then be able to turn over someplace else and watch somebody that's completely your opposite, and sort of fantasize about, gee, how that would be interesting to sort of have that skill or that perspective or have that default thinking in your head. And I think that's another of the many benefits in being in a group like this, because you got all kinds of people, and the ability to step outside yourself and look and observe and learn and kind of compare